Hi, it's Dwyer, GamblersAdvisory.com. Al Bernstein, a huge name in boxing, one of the absolute best boxing announcers out there, has made a video on the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather possible fight. He's posted it on YouTube. It is a must-see video. And in that video, he predicts that Manny Pacquiao beats Floyd Mayweather. He has pointed out that Manny Pacquiao, in every fight he's had that has gone the distance of late, has thrown over 1,000 punches, and that Floyd Mayweather, over the course of a 12-round fight, will typically throw about 600 punches. And he's pointed out that even if Floyd Mayweather were to block 60% of Manny Pacquiao's punches, and Manny's pretty accurate, then that means that 400 punches would still land on Floyd Mayweather. And he argues that Mayweather simply doesn't have the volume to be competitive with Manny Pacquiao, and that barring a knockout by Mayweather, he would lose a wide decision. This video is a response to that video. As many know, I believe that Floyd Mayweather beats Manny Pacquiao if the two meet, and just wanted to give a different point of view. And I would encourage viewers, and we all have opinions on this, to make their own videos to respond to this one and to Al Bernstein's. Let's get the party rolling. Let me just make a few points. First, it's an interesting thesis. I myself believe that a good volume puncher can beat a counter puncher under the right circumstances. Paul Williams overwhelmed Winky Wright, who I consider to be an elite counter puncher. In fact, I made a video on that fight before it took place. I hope you take a look at that video. Here's the rub, though. Let's look at Manny Pacquiao's actual fights. He fought Juan Manuel Marquez twice. And I know the first fight was ruled a draw. The second fight, Manny Pacquiao escaped with a decision, right? On my scorecard, I had Manny Pacquiao losing both fights. In neither fight did Marquez throw more volume than Pacquiao. But obviously there are other dynamics taking place in a fight, and I would argue, and these fights are up on YouTube, believe your own two eyes, not me. I would argue that Manny Pacquiao in both fights, over the course of 24 rounds, could not cope with Marquez's counter straight right hand. Right? In fact, they say the way to beat a southpaw is with a straight right hand. And if you look at Manny Pacquiao's eye after that rematch, you're going to see the damage that Marquez's straight right hand caused. In other words, it's not the volume that made both fights razor close, right? I think we can all agree that both fights were close, right? The judges agree that, right? The judges had the first fight a draw. The judges had Pacquiao winning by a razor close margin in the rematch, right? It's not Manny Pacquiao's volume that determines everything, right? It's never volume that determines everything. It's actually the punches he's able to defend and the punches that his opponent finds are successful. Now let me challenge the public, because I believe that in Pacquiao's next fight against Shane Mosley, we're going to see him for the first time in a very long time face a guy who has a very effective straight right hand. And I think Manny's going to have problems early in that fight. You know, if Mosley lands that straight right hand, I'm not sure what Manny is going to do. Let me point out, too, I want everyone to look at someone who's been in the game a very long time and who knows the fighters, Bob Arum. And I want you to listen to Bob Arum's views on this upcoming fight. And I understand Arum's a promoter. But even Arum is expecting a barn burner simply because, again, it's not the volume, it's which punches match which styles. And Mosley throws one of the best straight right hands in the business. Now let's back up a bit. Tell me, who has Manny fought since Marquez who throws a great straight right hand? Understand, in boxing, it's an open secret that some fighters are better managed than others, right? Somehow, Saul Alvarez, a fighter I admire, take a look at my first Saul Alvarez video online here, right? Somehow Saul Alvarez has a title, having not fought Angulo, James Kirkland, who I understand recently lost, Cotto, Cornelius Brundage, who has one of the belts. Somehow, Saul Alvarez is the champ at 154. Right? In other words, matchmaking can get you far in the business. Now, understand, Manny Pacquiao, let's go through some of his biggest fights. You tell me whether the fighter throws a great straight right hand. Right? Oscar De La Hoya. I think we know that Oscar's left-handed. Right? Even though he fought in an inverted stance, he's left-handed. Speaking of fighting inverted, I think we know that Miguel Cotto is left-handed. These are Pacquiao's biggest fights, right? Antonio Margarito. All I'm saying is, even Margarito himself, I'm sure, understands that he throws looping punches. That's one of the big things with his effectiveness. He doesn't drop, and when you see a Margarito fight, you don't expect him to drop straight right hands like Juan Manuel Marquez. Ricky Hatton. What's the knock on Ricky Hatton? It's that Ricky Hatton comes in, throws wide punches. Ricky roughs you up inside, puts his shoulder up against your body, is able to rough you up inside, but you never see Ricky Hatton fights where he's dropping straight counter right hands. Right? My point to you is that I'm not saying these fighters aren't worthy. Joshua Clottey can throw a good straight right hand, but understand Joshua Clottey operates out of a defensive shell, right? Not a Philly shell. He has his hands up like this, right? He doesn't deliver that punch as quickly as a Marquez or a Mayweather would. And so my point to you is simply this. Manny Pacquiao, great fighter, Hall of Fame fighter. I've picked him in many fights. But Manny Pacquiao has a hole in his defense. It's as simple as that. And that hole trumps volume. Al Bernstein, in his take, implicitly acknowledges that a fight against Floyd Mayweather would go several rounds. Right? Watch the Bernstein video. He never really talks about Manny Pacquiao knocking out Floyd, because we understand that Manny Pacquiao's fights of late have gone several rounds, right? He has stopped a man at at welterweight. Of course, that fighter, Oscar De La Hoya, had not fought at welterweight for several years. And, of course, quit on his stool. He was not knocked down in the ring. My point to you, let's talk about Manny's power at 147, not 140 where we stopped Ricky Hatton, but 147. And again, let me challenge the YouTube crowd. Who at 147 has Manny Pacquiao knocked out? Keep in mind, Miguel Cotto, that fight was fought at a catch weight. Keep in mind, too, I know Cotto went down a few times in that fight. Take a look at the 12th round of that fight and tell me if you feel Cotto could not have gone the distance in that fight. My argument is simply Pacquiao doesn't have KO power at 147. We know against a defensive fighter like Floyd Mayweather, Floyd's going to have 12 rounds to time Pacquiao on a straight right hand. 12 rounds. We also know that Floyd is, and I know Marquez is an elite counterpuncher, certainly a future Hall of Famer. Well, we know that Floyd has faster hand speed than Juan Manuel Marquez, right? In fact, the two fought, you saw the hand speed difference. And if Marquez was able to land that straight right hand several times over 24 rounds, I don't see why Floyd can't improve on Marquez's performance and actually land more powerful straight right hands. And keep in mind, Floyd physically is a bigger man than Marquez over a 12-round fight. Keep in mind, too, if you're in a fight with a guy who can land that straight right with some degree of regularity, and that guy has the skill level of a Floyd Mayweather, that straight right is going to open the door for a lot of other punches, right? Floyd will be able to fake with that straight right, then he'll be able to hit you with left hooks and anything else, created by the fact that you start to try to guard against that straight right hand. It opens the door to other things. So I feel that, instead of just looking at Manny's volume, we should be looking at Manny's defense. Let me go one step further. We know that Floyd Mayweather has more foot speed than Juan Manuel Marquez, right? They're both technicians, but I would argue that Floyd has faster foot speed, has faster hand speed. So look at the Marquez-Pacquiao fights and just imagine if when Marquez throws that straight right and Manny backs out, because Manny's legs are a big part of his defense, just imagine what would have happened if Marquez was able to come forward and catch up with Manny just as Manny is backing out. Let me make one final point. Take a look at the Joshua Clottey, Manny Pacquiao film. You're going to see that during that fight, Joshua Clottey hits Manny Pacquiao with several uppercuts. Several, right? Just like Marquez hit Manny Pacquiao with several straight rights, right? All I'm saying is this. Is it possible that Manny Pacquiao's speed, and it's blinding, has blinded all of us to some defensive holes right up the middle? Also ask yourself this. Why is Manny Pacquiao mid-fight unable to make adjustments to stop Marquez's straight right and Joshua Clottey's uppercuts? We know Floyd makes adjustments mid-fight. That's his entire career, right? Take a look at how he changes mid-fight against Zab Judah after getting knocked down in that fight, right? Take a look at how he shifts his game, changes his guard. Just look at his hands in his fight against Shane Mosley after getting his bell rung by a straight right early in that fight, right? Tell me why Manny Pacquiao has problems with mid-fight adjustments. I believe these two guys are two different personalities. Manny Pacquiao is a soldier, right? He has a game plan before the fight, he and Freddie Roach. Then Pacquiao goes out there and implements it. I believe Floyd Mayweather is different. I believe he's what I've called in other videos an adaptive, reactive fighter. In the middle of the fight, based on what he sees in the fight, he'll shift his game himself, right? Some guys can literally train themselves. I know he has Roger Mayweather in the corner. But I believe Mayweather makes the best in-fight adjustments. With all due respect to Al Bernstein, I'm rolling with Floyd Mayweather if that fight happens. Let me just say, we're going to see how Manny handles Shane Mosley's straight right Just expect to be surprised. It could be an eye opener. Thanks for watching.